Aleximo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 3 of the Crush Card Cup 2020. I'm Aleximo, joined by Joseph Rothschild, Mr. MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! Himself, for another electrifying commentary. And for this match, oh boy, we have Worlds competitor Mr. Walter Jule playing Eldlich, but he has a very interesting take on it. He's trying out Lightsworn Eldlich, playing cards like Raiden and Charge of the Light Brigade to help fuel his graveyard, get all those Eldlich cards in the grave to be able to trigger them during end phase and turbo into a much more formidable board, going up against his opponent, who is going to be on Adamancipator. This is obviously the breakout deck of the format, and this is one of the reasons why. Automato pickup. Joseph, what do you think?
Well, I do like the idea of tooling with Eldlich. We've seen a lot of different versions come out over the last couple of weeks. I know people have seen success with Mayakashi, with Invoked, some people playing the Baylor Drock version. Lightsworn is not one I would have expected.
Right? I mean, I think to me, it's interesting, though, because, like, in theory, it kind of makes sense, right? I think I've seen some OCG builds. They have Reasoning at 3, and so they were attempting to just kind of mill their deck that way to be able to then get all the Eldlich cards to trigger and just have this big explosive turn 1. But interesting enough, Raiden is a tuner, so you could maybe have some Needle Fiber plays in here.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I'm really curious to see where Walter goes with
this.
It's
kind of like a 2016 Minerva Lightsworn build theory, when you would jam Raiden into every single deck that wanted cards into the graveyard. I'd like to see how it turns out, but it's going to have a tough time going against one of the more competent Adamancipator builds.
Yeah, for sure. So we just see we saw the activation of Adamancipator being able to get not one but 2 of the Gagagas or Dododos or Gogagos. One of them which being Dododo Dwarf. We're now able to special summon Utopic Onomatopoeia. Again, cards that we never really thought would see the light of day, funny enough, but, you know, here they are, because guess what? Not only are they rocks, but they make Gallic Granite getting the best card in your deck being Block Dragon.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone has isolated the Block Dragon is the most unfair portion of this deck. I would have to agree with them, and if we see a hit in the near future, you know, if Yu-Gi-Oh! Returns to physical capacity, this would be the card that I would have my sights set on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and use that Gallant Granite. We're going to get what we need. And now we're going to use the effect of Go Glove to be able to bring itself back to the field because we control Go Gigas. And so that just gives us another extender to work with. And now we're, interestingly enough, going up into Nightmare Cerberus here. Yeah. I think we just wanted to get the Earth Count into the graveyard so that we can summon this Block Dragon out.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Ooh, speaking of rocks...
Yeah, speaking of them, here's Nibiru. That's pretty much where you have to Nibiru against this deck. Otherwise, their next play could have just as easily been an Appaloosa, and then Nibiru would have been offline for the rest of the turn.
But so you know what? It's actually not very good.
Yeah, we are going to still resolve Block Dragon here, so the Adamancipator player is actually just going to plus pretty significantly, and it's like he lost no card advantage even though he got Nibiru.
Yeah, that's extremely frustrating. I mean, one of the most frustrating parts about this deck, competent players can make an extremely early Herald of the Arclight if their hand demands it, and they could also go through lines that don't necessarily... minus if they are all tributed to the graveyard. Here, for example, he was able to special summon the Adamancipator Researcher because the token Nibiru gives you is a rock.
I was about to say, like, if this deck couldn't be any more ignorant in that respect, the fact that, like, Nibiru is one of the hard counters to the deck, but it gives you a rock to work with so that you were able to special summon these Adamancipator monsters. You know, just when people thought Nibiru was, like, the end-all, be-all when it comes to combo decks, here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and I mean, this is why Adamancipator is the de facto best combo deck of the format. It resists evenly matched, Lightning Storm, but also the things that interact with it on your turn. The Nibirus, the hand traps, so resilient, so competent, and it's going to go pretty far, I think.
Yeah, so now here we see Needle Fiber, or Halifibrax for you TCG players out there. We're going to grab a copy of Mecha Phantom Beast Orion, and just look, this is like he didn't even get Nibiru'd at this point. This is crazy.
Yeah, he was like, thank you for clearing out my zones. I was going to have to do that for myself anyway.
Yeah.
Olion, a relatively new inclusion in the deck. I think early on people were excited just to get additional Adamancipators off of Needle Fiber, saying, tuner's a tuner. It turns out having a Wind Monster in Graveyard for Raptite is excellent, and getting an extra token on your side of the field for potential Appaloosa plays is great as well.
So now here comes Gigantes. We're going to banish that Nightmare Cerberus, because guess what? That happens to be Earth. How convenient. And now we're just going to go straight into Abyss Dweller here. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's fine. You get not only get your Earths engraved, so that way you can bring back Block Dragon. Here's Adamancipator Signs. I mean, this hand was just loaded.
And importantly, by making Abyss Dweller, you can detach a material immediately to get the best possible target for Signs, which at this point in time seems to be Gigas.
Yes, and so now we are going to, looks like get a copy of Go 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 Glove here, and now we're just going to synchro for a Risen Raptite. Now this is going to be able to dig again. This is, as you've said in previous games, this is the only one that allows you to summon any of your rocks. It doesn't care if it's tuner or non-tuner, which is pretty cool. But now it looks like we're just going to link 4 for Appaloosa. That was with 3 negations, and now we just start building the board, right?
Of course. And you saw, as part of the resolution of their Tribal Monster Reborn, he was able to put a Dodo Dwarf Go 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 Glove on top of the deck to guarantee a hit off of Raptite, but with Analyzer in that stack, that might be a better pick.
Yeah, you know, and this is why this deck is so powerful. I mean, the fact that it's just, like, extender into extender into extender, and then plus, like, all of the Adamancipator cards themselves act as starters, but they all just cascade into one another as well, because they also happen to be rocks. They don't look like rocks to me, but, you know, I'll leave it to Konami to be able to say one way or another. But now we get to go for Analyzer and just keep extending further. Yeah. This is a great showing of why this deck has just become so powerful in the past week.
It is really, really easy to get the rock rolling downhill on this one. Thank you. Nice. I worked very hard on it.
How long you been saving that one?
You don't know. I mean, I have nothing else to do in the quarantine. I've got a whole whiteboard full of these.
So now we get to see Dragite make an appearance. Dragite it's not like, you know, your extender as Raptite is, but Dragite just being able to lock out any sort of spell or trap activations is very key in a lot of different matchups here. Also has the potential to bounce the Nibiru back to the hand because, you know, you don't need it anymore.
He says, all right, get that back. You're not going to be able to trade with any of my monsters. I'd prefer you to have a hand trap that's never going to be able to resolve its effect, and then we'll see a Synchro Summon of, I thought we were going to Savage. Instead, we're going to Masquerena with Block Dragon backup so we can activate it on our opponent's turn.
And this is one of the if this deck wasn't unfair enough, I think this is one of the most unfair things about this deck, is that being able to trigger Block Dragon on your opponent's turn. This is very reminiscent of, remember when Fairy Tail Snow was still legal with Thunder Dragon, and being able to trigger all the Thunder Dragons during your opponent's turn. That's where the deck became borderline just degenerate, if it wasn't already degenerate enough. And this is very, at least for me, very reminiscent of that.
Yeah. Now Block Dragon, of course, is an extremely powerful card when you're able to activate it on your first and third turns, but being able to activate it 3 times in a row and draw 6 cards, I mean, oh boy, that is really not okay.
And Walter's already seen enough. I mean, the Nibiru he was hoping was going to be enough, but it wasn't. I mean, his opponent was just able to just play through it with such ease, and now here we are going to game 2. Walter is going to kick us off, though, so we are going to get to see some Eldlich this game.
Yeah, it's a rough call to make, but maybe you hold Nibiru past the point where your opponent starts having enough materials on board to make Appaloosa. I mean, worst case scenario, they go into Appaloosa and your Nibiru is just as useless as it would have been anyway.
So this is what we're talking about when it comes to Raiden. Look at these mills. You hit a Conquistador and a Eldlich the Golden Lord, like, that seems pretty good.
Never mind, I take it all back. This is insane. We could go to Halka-Fibrax here if we want to.
We could. I don't know if that's good.
Oh, yeah, it's bad,
but we don't.
It's funny.
But we don't know what else Walter's playing because he's already crazy enough to be playing Lightsword. I'm sure Will, at this point, his Adamancipator player opponent, is probably thinking Lightsworn in Eldlich. Again, they're lights too, so you know, who knows what other synergy we've got here.
God, but
are we really gonna see? We're seeing. All right, so Needle Fiber hitting the board. I'm really curious to see where Walter's going to take this.
Ash.
Okay. Ash is a tuner, so it allows you to extend. Are we just going to pass on this?
This is an interesting board state. So obviously Raiden was exceptional there, but the powerful card that Walter's playing is Charge of the Light Brigade, which for some of our viewers who weren't around during 2017 formats, is just an absolutely unbelievable spell card. For a long time, one of the most powerful in the game.
Right, so we're going to get a copy of Scarlet Sanguine, which, if you've watched some of our other feature matches, you will know that this is the card that is the go-to to ensure that Golden Lord hits the field, and that turns all the rest of our Golden Land spells and traps online to ensure that they get either their card destruction capability, their DD Crow-esque effects, and so on.
I really would like to know what the purpose of Ash Blossom on my side of the field is here.
And we're probably not going to find out because there's Dark Ruler no more. So unless we see a Golden Land forever, that's probably not going to do much. And the Adamancipator, too, to be able to get the necessary components to be able to assemble ourselves a Gallant Granite here.
So for what it's worth, the Dark Ruler no more you would never board into if you know your opponent is on Eldlich. The concession out of Walter super early into Game 1 is really paying off for him by potentially bricking cards in his opponent's hand.
So here we go. We see Go-Go Gigas hit the field. That's going to be met immediately with Conquistador of the Golden Land to pretty much deny that Dododo Dwarf Go-Go Love from getting much of its advantage. But the signs as the follow-up, so it's like the Conquistador didn't even matter.
Yeah, it's rough. You simultaneously, the Forever gonna do it, thank goodness.
Yeah, Forever, Golden Land Forever, the Omni Negate of Eldlich, going to be able to stop this Signs and possibly stop Will's turn here, depending on if he has anything else. But with no rocks on the field, he may be forced to pass.
Right, the choke points in Adamancipator aren't their individual monster effect activations. Often it's just having rock monsters on your side of the field, because of course the miners can't make their way onto the field unless they have their friends on board. With the exception of Analyzer, but sometimes you just gotta take the risk because there's no better way to interact.
So only a set card from Will, which, if they're on Adamancipator, you can assume that there's not really much going on here. We're going to see Charge of the Light Brigade be sent to the graveyard to bring back Golden Lord and summon it out to the field. It's going to have a 3,500 attack. And this is lethal.
That's 6,000. It's actually exact lethal, yes.
Exactly lethal, yes. 35, 25, 5, and 15. We didn't even get to see what the Needle Fiber was for. I'm so curious now.
Really, if the Needle Fiber was for I don't know, sticking on the field, maybe going into a Wonder Magician and getting material for a Golden Land Forever that isn't named Eldlich, maybe it's alright. Still seems like a stretch.
Yeah, but here we go, Automano Pickup. So again, just with the consistency of this deck. It's interesting, though, like, we've seen one game where he was able to go off, play through everything Walter had, and another game where we actually saw him falter a little bit. So, obviously this deck, it's all gas, but it's by no means unbeatable.
Yeah, the interaction that matters, of course, is keeping your opponent's field clear, and that's really hard to do when they're going first. If there's a hand trap that destroys a monster on the field, maybe that would resolve this problem, but I certainly can't think of any.
Signs again for the third time. This is reminiscent, though, of Game 1 against, a Round 1 match against Burning Abyss, where we saw stuff like Burning Abyss Farfa, as well as Karma Cut and Dinomicious being actually very effective at making sure that there are no rock monsters on the field to essentially enable the rest of the deck to continue cascading off.
And we're going to put a Doki Doki on top of the deck. Yeah, that's about as good as it gets. Let's fire that Seeker and, what do you know? An Ash Blossom.
So we're going to Ash the Seeker, but he has the Researcher. And again, this is exactly what we were just talking about. Ash is so ineffective when a monster is still on the field. It's kind of like going against Salamangreat, actually, when you have effect negation. Because think about it. Your cards like Ash and Impermanence and such get blanked because you still have the monster on the field. So when you have cards like Salamangreat Sanctuary, you're able to just link off into something else, and you get the effect anyway.
I think we've been spoiled for a little while. Cards like Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence at one point in their printing read, "You win the game," and now they mean your opponent has to expend very little effort in order to continue their plays. And, sometimes I wish discarding Ash won me the game still.
So here we go. Now, Doki Doki, we're going to pitch Go Glove, get Analyzer from the deck. Now we get to go sink into a Raptite here, potentially. Oh, no, Herald. Yep. So now Herald is going to shut down any of the potential hand traps that Walter may still have remaining. Nibiru, most notably, since he's already used Ash. I have seen some Eldlich builds playing Gamma, so that also is turned off at this point, but... Ooh, wow.
Yeah, for what it's worth, there was one solitary good position to use Nibiru here. Was there even? Was that the 5th summon? Oh, gosh.
I was going to say, that might have been the 5th summon, unfortunately.
Well, in that case, sorry, Walter. Sometimes they have it.
So here we go now. We hit the Dragite off of this Analyzer here. So Dragite draws us a card, and here we go. The Block Dragon.
This is number 1 on the pain chart. My opponent starts banishing cards from their graveyard, and Block Dragon hits the field. Halqifibrax and Block Dragon, a protected chain order, adding 3 cards to hand and 1 card to field.
What's more painful than a Needle Fiber, Joseph? A Needle Fiber that is chain blocking a Block Dragon resolution.
Yeah, that's enough to make me consider quitting. You got it. We actually haven't specialed a Seeker yet, have we?
I don't believe so. Was it a normal summon of Seeker initially?
I'm pretty sure
because we have had Seeker. That Seeker was ashed, but I don't remember how it was summoned to the board.
Oh, it might have been a normal
case,
summon of an Onomat monster. Regardless.
Yeah, regardless, we'll see what happens here. But now we're gonna go for the Raptite. Raptite's gonna get the Go Gigas to the field. It's just so many cards you have to work with. It's incredible. Now I think we're gonna go for the Appaloosa. Yes, we are. 3 negations online. So now you have 3 monster negations. You have a spell and trap negation for Herald, because effectively that's what it would count as. And now we just go for Dweller, it looks like?
Appaloosa isn't even good. It's not even good, but you're playing it to reduce the number of monsters on your side of the field to facilitate powerful rank 4 plays.
Oh, okay, so we want to get the Utopic Onomatopoeia onto the board first, then go into the Abyss Dweller. Of course. We need to make sure and there you go. There's the special summon of the Seeker. You were very keen to notice that. Now we get to Synchro Summon into Dragite, so... And Gigantes as well. Like, this
We're going to Tornado Dragon? Is he on it? If so, that is 100% the end of the game.
He's overlaying...
Oh, God.
There it is. Look at this board. And we get Block Dragon back. Like,
this is such a setup. I'm trying to think what this even loses to. Triple evenly matched. It loses to triple evenly matched.
Dark Ruler beats this.
Oh, Dark Ruler does beat this. And it's a conceivable board plan. All right. I'm in.
Yeah, so, I mean, it depends if Walter drew it, but we'll have to see. I think it might be Dark Ruler or bust here. It's very rough to...
Sphere mode, maybe?
I guess Sphere mode could do it, maybe?
It's not even great.
Walter's
what would you tribute for Sphere mode? Like Tornado, Herald, Dragite, and you'd still have to beat Abyss Dweller, Appaloosa, Block Dragon? Ugh.
It depends on the rest of your hand. That's what the thing, because it's like, I would say... I don't know. That's obviously you just leave Block Dragon out, because you don't care about that.
Yeah.
But that's... Dweller probably you could leave out as well, since that hasn't done anything. Or it's already active, right? So, like, tributing that. So you probably go Arclight... That's so hard. Arclight, Dragite, and...
Oh, he had it!
Sphere! Oh, my God!
All right, he's thinking about it. It's Dragite, Arclight for sure. The question is if it's Tornado or Appaloosa. And if it's Appaloosa, that means he's got a Golden Lord in hand, and he's going to chew through the rest with the effect of Golden Lord.
Right, and so I feel like... Okay, there's Appaloosa. Is Walter Jule going to be able to play through this?
Yes! Golden Lord, the Tornado Dragon!
He
Yes!
has the Golden Lord!
This rocks. This is so cool. And the last
And he
one is
has
Eldlich.
Cursed Eldland in addition to it!
Okay, so...
Oh!
It's not the end of the game. You know, we can't activate the Graveyard Effect of Lord.
Whoa! Correct. But Magician Souls as well. He's playing Chaos Sorcerer?
Why not? Why not? Oh my gosh. This is frustrating. He's just trying to draw into Scarlet Sanguine here because it's basically the only way you make it out of this game.
This is incredible. Just when we thought the odds were against Walter Jule to come back from this.
I do want to point out he's still disadvantaged, you know?
Yeah.
The face-up Abyss Dweller is killer right now.
Right, but I mean, if there's a way to even have a chance to come back in this game, that's going to be a good start.
Yeah. All right, that's the last Abyss Dweller turn. We're going to banish Scarlet Sanguine in response, but, I mean, you're not going to be able to activate the trap card this turn.
To be fair, doing this will make it so that at least Dweller has to waste the material.
Yeah.
So that's a plus at the very least.
If we're not dead here, we would.
No, exactly. Additionally, I just realized Chaos Sorcerer was his target for Magician Souls to send from deck. I like that a lot, actually.
No, it's unironically cute. I saw it in the top 4 of the Pro Play Games weekend event this past weekend as a similar target in a deck that was on Magician Souls in the main, on Eldlich, and occasionally banished the pair of them to get a face-up banish.
So I think what happened here, I think it looks like Will preemptively shotgunned the Dweller, and I think Walter chained the Scarlet Sanguine in response, because Scarlet Sanguine actually doesn't require to be used during the end phase,
right?
Like Hawkero or Conquistador or some of the other cards. And so a little bit of a misstep there, giving Walter, he can't use the set Conquistador here,
right?
But there at least is, it's something that could maybe make the difference in this game. We'll have to see. We have a researcher, though, from Will, so, I mean, if you're talking about ways to ensure you don't lose the game, that is definitely one of them.
And there goes Sphere Mode to the graveyard. I guess that is fine. I mean, you have to assemble lethal here or it's going to be a huge problem. And what is that card? Excuse me?
That is a pointer of the Red Lotus that he discarded. So it looks like that was probably his draw off the top. And we're going to pitch that for Cerberus to deal with Magician Souls here. This will trigger the Block Dragon. So Block Dragon is going to get a ton of cards for Will to work with. And if there is no card in Walter's hand to deal with this board, it's going to be very rough. Because now here comes Borrelsword Dragon, and this could very well be the end of the game.
Yeah, there's got to be just about Nibiru or bust at this point, and I actually think we can do everything while playing under it. This is lethal. That's on 4 summons.
I think, yeah. Ooh, is that going to do it? Oh, and that was it. Walter Jule almost doing the impossible, making the comeback, but Will was able to squeak it out thanks to in part to that Block Dragon.
Oh, man.
What a show, though. Absolutely
No, for
incredible.
sure. I mean, this was a game where Walter Jule drew Game 1 main decked Nibiru and Game 3 Sphere Mode and lost. What a impressive showing from Adamancipator.
Just a testament to how strong this deck really is. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next match.